In view of a possible threat of the new COVID-19 variant Omicron can pose in India, the Union Health Ministry has now revised the guidelines for international arrivals in India to be effective from the 1st of December. Let's go across to my colleague Sonakshi Chakravarti, who's following this story. So Sonakshi, what's going to change? What are these new guidelines?
Well, the international passengers entering into India from the 1st of December, the Union Health Ministry of India has decided to revise these travel guidelines for these international passengers in view of a worrying trend emerging out of a new variant of COVID called the Omicron. Now, what is new here is that international passengers, will have to submit a self-declaration form, including their travel history of the last 14 days before they enter into India. The second main point here is that those who will have to enter into India will have to upload a negative COVID-19 RT-PCR test. This remains constant for every passenger entering into India. But another very important point to remind our viewers here is that there are 12 at-risk countries which the Union Health Ministry has listed out. Those 12 at-risk countries, the passengers coming in from those countries will be subjected to extra and an enhanced surveillance and testing because they are coming in from countries which are at risk. This will include testing at the airport, and so one person cannot leave the airport in India till such time they have been tested negative. Now, interestingly, even if they have tested negative, they will still have to continue with self-monitoring and quarantine after that. So an international passenger coming in from an at-risk country will be subjected to that extra surveillance. Those coming in from not at-risk countries, excluding these at-risk countries, will still have to monitor themselves. They will be allowed to leave the airport, but they will still be quarantined for 7 days, and they will also have to self-monitor from the 8th day with a COVID-19 negative RT-PCR test. So all in all, the bottom line here is that that India has decided to revise its international guidelines for international passengers from the 1st of December, given a worrying trend emerging out of the Omicron variant of the COVID-19.
All right, Sonakshi Chakravarti with some very useful information there. Thanks for that. Now, these decisions came after a day of high-level reviews that was yesterday by Prime Minister Modi on this new COVID-19 variant of concern called Omicron. Remember, it's been we've had a long hiatus of more than 20 months, and the government had just this week, on the 26th of November, announced the resumption of scheduled international commercial flights from the 15th of December. Well, that's not all. The centre has now also asked all states to step up intensive containment and active surveillance, as well as better vaccination coverage amidst worries about this new coronavirus strain Omicron, which was first detected in South Africa this week, identified by the World Health Organization this week. On Sunday, we saw the Union Health Secretary writing to all states and to all union territories about this Omicron variant of the COVID-19, a variant of concern, asking them to make sure there is a greater enforcement of intensive containment zones, active surveillance measures, and of course a push given to vaccinate as many Indians as possible. And Prime Minister Modi on Sunday skipped an all-party meeting called for by his government, this a day before the start of the winter session of Parliament. The Defence Minister and the Commerce Minister were present, representing the government from the government side, but the opposition was not amused.
The customary all-party meeting of the government before the winter session of Parliament, but with a notable absentee, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The government was represented by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi.
सिर्फ और सिर्फ पार्लियामेंट अफेयर्स मंत्रालय, पार्लियामेंट अफेयर्स मंत्री ये मीटिंग बुलाता था। माननीय मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद वो इस मीटिंग में आने का एक परंपरा शुरू किया है, इस बार नहीं आ पाए हैं।
The opposition questioned the Prime Minister's absence, raising the list of demands. A legal guarantee for the MSP, compensation for families of farmers who died during the protest, sacking of Union Minister Ajay Mishra Teni, and rising fuel prices and tension with China.
उसमें उन्होंने ये भी कहा था कि कानून तो ठीक है मैं लोगों को समझा नहीं पाया। तो इसका मतलब यही होता है कि कानून आज ना कल किसी और रूप में आ जाएगा, एक डर हमको भी है। तो हम ये पूछना चाहते थे, अगर प्राइम मिनिस्टर यहाँ आते।
TMC's Derek O'Brien tweeted, "Government refused to discuss Pegasus on the floor of Parliament in the monsoon session, and then the Supreme Court spoke. Government brutally bulldozed farm bills in Parliament, and then farmers won. Today at an all-party meeting before winter session, we did spot-splattered eggs on the government's face." Aam Aadmi Party Sanjay Singh walked out of the meeting saying he was not allowed to raise the demand for the MSP for farmers in this session.
यहाँ पर ये हालत है कि किसी भी सदस्य को बोलने नहीं देते, किसी को अपनी बात रखने नहीं देते। मैं किसानों का मुद्दा उठा रहा था, मैंने साफ तौर पे कहा कि भाई MSP की गारंटी का कानून इसी सत्र में लेके आइए।
Opposition unity is unlikely to be the same as it was in the monsoon session. While opposition parties are planning for a united flow coordination on the floor of the House, they don't want to be seen publicly together because of the upcoming state elections. Clearly, this gives an opportunity for the government to push through key legislations. With camera person Ashok Male, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
And the BJP has swept the civic polls in Tripura, held amidst a bitter feud with the Trinamool Congress, bagging 217 of 222 seats on which the elections were held on the 25th of November. So polling took place on the 25th for these 222 seats, and the Prime Minister has then tweeted that the people of Tripura have given a clear message that they prefer the politics of good governance. He said, "I would like to thank them for the unequivocal support to the BJP for Tripura." The Trinamool responded saying, "This is only the beginning. We thank the people of Tripura for blessing us abundantly. Despite rigging, threats, violence, we stand firmly as the strongest opposition in the state. Your ruthless anarchy will soon come to an end. Keep watching." And now a 23-year-old Dalit man has been arrested in the case involving the murder of a Dalit family in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj. The local police claim that he carried out the murders along with unidentified accomplices. The police also say the daughter who was raped and killed was not a minor, and that the sections of the POSCO Act are being removed from the case. The police say the man whom they have arrested lived in a brick kiln behind the victim's home, and that he was harassing the young woman.
एक अभियुक्त पवन सरोज, ये लगभग 23 वर्ष का है और ये सजातीय है, मृतक पक्ष की जाति का है। इनके द्वारा लगातार लड़की को परेशान किया जा रहा था, मोबाइल पर मैसेज दिए जा रहे थे और लड़की द्वारा उसको अस्वीकार किया जा रहा था, बार बार उसको मना किया जा रहा था। अंतिम मैसेज के आधार पर और सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंस के आधार पर पवन सरोज की गिरफ्तारी की गई है और इनके द्वारा अभी विवेचना में सहयोग नहीं किया जा रहा है, लेकिन अभी तक ये बात सिद्ध हो गई है कि इनके द्वारा कुछ लोगों के सहयोग से हत्या की गई थी। जो पोक्सो की धाराएं हैं वो भी इसमें कम की जा रही हैं।
And a show by the comedian Munawar Farooqi, scheduled to be held at an auditorium in Bangalore on Sunday, was cancelled after the Bangalore police asked the organizers to do so, citing possible law and order issues. In a letter, the Bangalore police, whose job it is to maintain law and order, said that Mr. Farooqi is a quote controversial figure and that his show could lead to law and order problems in the light of threats from Hindu vigilante groups. Munawar Farooqi is a stand-up comedian from Gujarat. He was arrested in 2021 by the Indore police after a BJP MLA's son said that the jokes he was going to crack at a show where he was scheduled to perform are offensive. This is the latest scheduled show by the stand-up comedian to have been cancelled after a similar program was terminated in Mumbai last month following threats from the right-wing group, the Bajrang Dal. Now, according to organizers, 700 tickets were sold for Sunday's show. The stand-up comedian Munawar Farooqi put up a post on the cancellation in which he says, "Nafrat jeet gayi, artist haar gaya. Hate has won, the artist has lost. I'm done." NDTV spoke with the artist, the comedian, at the beginning of last month about the constant harassment by extremist Hindi groups. At that point of time, he had said he would carry on performing his art. We're going to go in for a short break. After that, we'll get you the main takeaways, the myths busted in the National Family Health Survey. Welcome back. Now, wasting children, anemic women, higher levels of obesity, a demographic shift where there are now more women than men in India, a fertility rate that's dropped to 2, the lowest ever, lower than the national replacement rate of 2.1 children per woman, an indication that our population is stabilizing. There have been many big takeaways, many big indicators that have emerged from the National Family Health Survey 2019-2021. But here's a special report from Punjab that looks specifically at the sex ratio statistics.
According to the National Family Health Survey 2019-21 released by the Government of India, there has been a significant improvement in family planning and sex ratio. But in Chandigarh, which has the lowest fertility rate, the big concern is sex ratio. The use of family planning methods is up from 54% to 67%. There are now more women than men in India, 1,020 women for every 1,000 men. Let's take a look at the state-wise breakup of the fertility rate. The 5 states with fertility rate above 2 are Bihar, Meghalaya, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand and Manipur. The 5 states with the lowest fertility rate are Punjab, West Bengal, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Even though Chandigarh's total fertility rate was marked as 1.4 in the National Family Health Survey 2020-21, experts say acceptance to family planning methods is still very low.
जो NFHS 4 का डाटा था उसके तुलना में थोड़ी सी मार्जिनल रिडक्शन है. फैमिली प्लानिंग एक्सेप्टेंस बढ़ी नहीं है. So there is cross reduction in marriage before 18 years. तो ये बड़ी अच्छी बात है. उसी से एसोसिएटेड है टीनेज प्रेगनेंसी एंड एडोलेसेंस फर्टिलिटी रेट. इसमें सब्सटेंशियल रिडक्शन है. तो ये एक सक्सेस स्टोरी है.
But the bigger concern is the sex ratio at birth in Chandigarh, which has dropped 14% to 838 females for every 1,000 males. Meanwhile, the Union Territory Health Department has questioned the report and claimed that they are compiling their own data.
जहाँ तक मैंने अपने यहाँ पे डॉक्टर्स से बात किया, उनका कहना है कि कहीं ना कहीं कुछ डाटा का अभी समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि ये डाटा कहाँ से लिया गया है. 925-30 के आसपास का कहीं का एवरेज हमारे डाटा के हिसाब से है, जो हमने गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स में कुछ रखा हुआ है. तो इसको एनालाइज कर रहे हैं. मैं अभी ये तो नहीं कहूँगा कि वो रिपोर्ट गलत है. हम तो ये मान के चल रहे हैं कि हमको इसको देखना है.
While the sex ratio for the total population has increased from 991 to 1020 for every 1,000 men, the sex ratio at birth saw only a marginal improvement from 919 to 929, so boys continue to have a better chance of survival than girls. With Mohammad Ghazali in Chandigarh, Bureau Report, NDTV.
And schools and colleges in 7 districts of Tamil Nadu, including the state capital Chennai, will be closed on Monday in anticipation of heavy rains. The Met Department has forecast very heavy rainfall in Tirunelveli, in Kanyakumari, in heavy rainfall in Ramanathapuram and Thoothukudi. Many districts in the state got a respite from rains on Sunday amidst a very heavy rain forecast. And staying with Tamil Nadu, the KGF Babu War, the boy from the Kolar goldfield, may have been a little known name in the state, but the Congress's Yusuf Sarif has now got all the attention on him thanks to a declared family worth of over 1,700 crores made in his poll affidavit for the December 10th Karnataka Legislative Council polls. He couldn't even finish class 5, his education at one point of time, because of financial stress in the family.
54-year-old Yusuf Sharif, Congress candidate in the Legislative Council elections to be held in December, has declared assets worth over 1,744 crores in the affidavit given to the Election Commission. He is a billionaire candidate who used to drive a tempo in Kolar near Bengaluru in 1993.
भाई बहन 14 आदमी थे घर पे। 14 आदमियों को पालना बड़ी परेशानी थी। परेशानी की वजह से मैंने स्कूल पढ़ा नहीं। मैंने स्कूल छोड़ के इन लोगों मेरे फैमिली के लिए मैंने मेहनत करा था। उसके बाद मैं स्क्रैप बिजनेस किया, उसके बाद मैं रियल एस्टेट किया। जो भी पैसा कमाया मैंने रियल एस्टेट में ही कमाया सर। स्क्रैप में लाखों में कमाया, रियल एस्टेट में करोड़ों में कमाया। ये हाई कोर्ट से जो प्रॉपर्टीज आते हैं वो प्रॉपर्टीज एक्शन में मैं खरीदता हूँ।
He now has a house in Kolar, one in Bengaluru, a Rolls-Royce car and gold-plated furniture.
हम लोग सोने से ही पैदा हुए हैं, सोने की मिट्टी से ही पैदा हुए हैं।
Gold is such a theme in his life now that even his name has changed.
आपको इलाके के लोग किस नाम से जानते हैं?
KGF बाबू के नाम से जानते हैं।
KGF बाबू यानी?
KGF मतलब कोलार गोल्डफील्ड।
Yusuf says that he will sponsor children's education in his area. Yusuf Sharif faces 3 cases in court related to real estate and 1 case of income tax evasion of around 14 crore rupees. With Nehal Kidwai in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, NDTV.